Discord wants to go public, and that's something we already knew from 2024, but what's now changed is that the Financial Times have got sources who say that Discord are actively talking to banks, and that means that it's not a desire, it is a plan that they are progressing along. And if none of this would impact us as users, in a way we wouldn't care. But it will impact users. It arguably has. Things are changing on the app literally right now. And if you've smelled whiffs of enshittification, it's not because you've gone mad, it's because you're a human. We know what enshittification is, we know patterns, and we really hope Discord doesn't go bad. We also know that Discord fundamentally has a problem. Money. That's the problem Discord has, but in a way it's a problem that they always knew they would have. You see, often success is about picking your problem, right? What you're kind of willing to have as an issue, and being a venture-backed tech company, Discord's problem, the thing that they sacrificed, was short-term profitability. And that might sound completely insane, but it's actually typical and it is a real business model. For something like Discord, the value is in users. So there's no point over monetizing a small social network if what you really want to do is grow, and then once you're huge, then generate mad returns, but not necessarily through the company being super profitable. Oh no. Generate mad returns for investors and shareholders by either being acquired by another larger company or by going public. It's very much the typical model, and for Discord, that meant them raising $1 billion across 17 funding rounds over the last while. I'll return to that money soon, but you needed that context of money as a problem, that they've raised all this venture money, to basically understand what's coming next. It's the vital context. Because if you thought the Discord Nitro boosts and cosmetics were enough for an app like this to really work, you'd be wrong. Because Discord are about to massively expand ads. Advertisements are going to hit Discord mobile this June. Of course, they've been on desktop since last year. And for Discord, they are genuinely a key to the future. Look, here's the thing. I don't like it, by the way, but advertisements do work. That's why RuneScape is even toying with them for its free tier. It's why premium streaming services have now got ads, even on a paid tier. Straight up, if a company just wants more money, ads are the go-to solution, assuming the audience is entrenched and sticky. And if it's something where, it's the only place you can get your TV show conveniently, or say Discord where all your friends are, yeah, you're probably going to tolerate ads. So as a business model, it makes sense. And in fairness to Discord, their ads are not like most. They actually try to do them well. They've got this whole branding about them being quests, and there's in-app cosmetics. That's decently high effort, right? They're smart enough, they're fairly inoffensive, but importantly for brands, they're they're results driven, they're very trackable. That is amazing for brands, actually tracking what their ad spending is even doing. It's very important. Say if you're an ad buyer and you want to have good numbers you can show to a higher up in the office. And Discord also has another thing. It is massive in demographics that are traditionally harder to reach through conventional marketing channels. That is a huge value. It's the sort of value you'd want to demonstrate if you planned to go public. But here's the thing. I thought we were going to talk about Discord ads for a bit and talk about some of the basic businessy things. The basic story of platform good, platform grow, platform is venture funded, ads and enshittification will follow is still there. But what I did not expect was the grand strategy, the chess that they're playing, and everything else that we dig up. Being nice to have is one thing, but being essential to have is another thing. And Discord wants to be essential, not just to you and me, but also to the industry. So to do that, they have a plan to become a piece of vital internet infrastructure. Now, we've already seen some of this, but only in the form of little nice-to-haves, like having a game integration that means, you can see the final circle in PUBG on Discord if your friends are playing the game. That's hardly vital. That's hardly something you can pitch to the world as being transformational for your business. So how about this instead? Discord as your entire social system. And it means that rather than being a nice to have, it's them literally running part of a game. So it's called the Discord Social SDK. And honestly, it's a pretty genius plan, and it is an area ripe for disruption. So as the name suggests, it's an SDK, it's a developer tool. And put simply, it is a complete off-the-shelf system that will handle friends lists, game invites, text chat, and voice chat, all without needing a Discord login. It will all be ran on Discord. It is Discord, but actually logging into Discord isn't required. Though, of course, if you do log into Discord, you'll get extra features. Now, obviously, I then think about what Discord has done with having cosmetics. Oh, there you go. A natural deep integration. That's the kind of thing you can really sell an investor on. So basically, it's free, cross-platform social infrastructure that works out of the box and can run that whole system for your video game. And so far, the developers behind Rust, Splitgate 2, and Theorycraft Games being a company, they've had early access, but the overall thing is now public for everybody. And in terms of competition, Steam Voice Chat? The Battle.net apps voice chat? I mean, things that exist but aren't really fantastic. And yes, Steam does more. You can join your friends, and that's the sort of thing that this will actually support with the new Discord system. But the point basically is, Steam is very much tied to a storefront. That means that it can't really be as ubiquitous as something like Discord can be. And since so many people already use Discord, I can very much imagine users actually asking developers for this system to be used. But remember the context of this story. Discord wants to go public. And to go public successfully, they will need to demonstrate humongous growth potential. And that's why moving beyond just having users and towards being digital infrastructure is such a well-tuned move to accomplish their goals. It's vital to their plan. But with all of this, we still have that worry of enshittifying Discord. Let's return to the money. With what you've just heard, this will matter a hell of a lot more, and it's actually a more dramatic story than I kind of expected. Okay, do you remember how the pandemic drove stock markets absolutely mad? So Discord very much thought they were part of that vanguard of future companies, right? Where it was always going to be work from home, everyone's using Zoom on their Peloton, the world has changed and it's never going back. At that time, Discord thought of themselves as the community hub for the world, right? More than just gaming. They very much wanted to grow radically beyond where they had started. That didn't really come to pass. They very much now realized they are a social app for gaming. That means for them that infinite user growth would not happen. And that suddenly means that strange concepts like profit and loss actually started to become important to them. Because of that, Discord axed 17% of their headcount as a part of a plan to be profitable by 2024. But in the last year, it seems things have only escalated. So the Financial Times say that they are now talking to banks in order to fund going public. 2024 saw advertisements become a thing. 2025 is seeing those move over to mobile. On the whole going public thing, for their part, Discord are publicly downplaying that that's what they're trying to do. But that's actually exactly what you would do if you wanted to go public, but didn't want rampant speculation to overhype their valuation. And in this case, well, we've got robust sourcing from the Financial Times that says they're literally talking to the banks. And the valuation number will actually matter here. So as I said earlier, they've had $1 billion in funding across 17 rounds. So here's how those investors get their tasty returns. Option number one is to be acquired, and Microsoft allegedly offered them $12 billion in 2021, but they rejected. So I guess no Microsoft Teams gaming for us. Thank God, that would have been horrible. Option two then is to go public. That very much seems to be the plan, and if you watched our video on Thunderful lately, you'll know where that kind of thing can go. Now certainly that Discord rejected a $12 billion offer. That certainly implies either they really didn't want Microsoft or they believe, actually, they have a fair valuation way higher. But that $12 billion offer was in 2021. As of right now, they do have a valuation of about $15 billion, so at least for me, it'll be damn interesting to see, whenever they do go public, what they're actually going to be able to raise. But okay, what does this actually mean for you and for me? Yeah, it's time to talk about enshittification. As we've seen so many times in this channel, things fundamentally change whenever you go public, because what happens then is everything is laid bare for the public and investors to pick apart. But more importantly, the demands of those investors change. So if you're a traditional old business, maybe what people want is a juicy dividend increase. But if you're a modern tech company, well, maybe you'll be seen as what's called a growth stock, where it's not about dividends, it's about pushing up that stock price. And for Discord to be a growth stock, which naturally is its place as a tech company, I'd say, it will need to constantly show great execution while dangling a juicy new carrot over every quarter as much as they can. And not just a small juicy carrot that will drive some revenue, no, large strategic carrots. The sorts of things that let them tell stories to investors of transformational growth. That's why the SDK, the idea of Discord basically running social infrastructure in games, is actually goddamn huge. While their ads expanding is great, you want to have multiple layers at which you can have that big transformational growth. And what lies at the heart of that growth is you. It is your value as a user, and frankly, the leverage that they have over you. Not necessarily in an evil way, but if they run the infrastructure that is your game's social network, they run your friend groups like Discord server, obviously, it's going to be hard for you to move. You could move personally, but are you really going to convince all of your internet friends to leave Discord? And even if you do convince your close friends to leave, what if you're playing a game with other people who are on Discord? It's very, very hard to leave. And that's why moves that make money off you being on Discord are fundamentally important here. But the thing is, being public cuts both ways. I've just talked up the story of showing big growth potential, but let's say numbers don't look good. Let's say earnings growth or earnings per share or margin go down. That's shocking, that's scary, and that's exactly the sort of thing that leads to damaging cost savings, right? Short-term cuts, cutting your nose to spite your face, new monetization schemes, and all sorts of lunacy that we are now used to. And I think the best example of that is ads. Discord have done ads in a way that I would say is well-designed, fairly thoughtful, and with a decent amount of care, and also a decent amount of user control. That's because they did adverts on their own terms, with their own goals and incentives, which were longer term about showing growth, likely to successfully go public. But if investors need a lot of money now, if they need to turn around their story as a company, will they have the time to do ads in a thoughtful way that actually works with users? Or will it be short-term money me now because the C-suite are under a lot of pressure from investors and analysts? That is how going public fundamentally changes the sorts of decisions that a company makes and the goals that they have. Hang on a second though, we gotta stop, we gotta have a reality check. The truth is that Discord is basically incredible. Compared to where things were in the past, it's essentially a piece of magic. I mean, I remember the days of Ventrilo, of Xfire. Remember Xfire? To be as huge as Discord, with as many features, and all of those essentially free, is absolutely wild. I mean, Slack's cheapest offering is £7 a month, Teams is £3.10 a month, Campsite looked promising, but it was for work and Notion bought it and then shut it down, and there are other options, some free and open source ones, like Revolt. Revolt is free, open source, very Discord-like, but it's also still very much in development, and anything would have to get past Discord's moat. The fact that we're all real bought into Discord. In some cases, we've even bought cosmetics or had a Nitro subscription. And that would make changing away feel bad. You see, the best way to be directly aligned with your users is to make money directly for them, to have them literally pay for your software. We live in a world, though, where people kind of demand free, but then adverts are kind of broadly hated. I feel like across the world, this is coming to a head. Because if people are directly paying for the software they're using, then as a developer, you're focusing on features and the experience of that customer, not necessarily new schemes or expanding your scope, which of course we have seen Discord have to do. Is there a world where Discord does not have to do ads, where it does not have to do this SDK, where actually just off the back of Nitro, it can be what it needs to be for gamers and have good incentives? Is that actually possible? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but in the world of going public, where the line must go up, it's not possible. Because the funding model that leads to Discord even existing in the first place essentially hinges on a big IPO or a big acquisition payday. And that means the development has got to feed into a growth narrative, and that is the recipe for Enshittification. I hope Discord gets this right, because what they've built is a genuinely incredible piece of software and an incredible service. It would be sad to see it go wrong. And to learn another story of Valve's algorithm and what we learned about it when we dig through the data, what it gets right, and some problems that it's solving that are actually new problems, watch this video next.